What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Stock Watch Sunday. Waiting for some folks to roll in here, and let me welcome a few of you. What's up, Alan, Quick Fox, McTag, Bob, Jeff, Matt? Good to see you guys. Thanks for showing up, I guess. Guys, I gotta admit, I'm a little bit all over the place this evening. There's just so much going on. But before I do that, let me just welcome you to the channel. If you're visiting for the first time, welcome. My name is Brad, and this is Own the Chaos. The world is a crazy and chaotic place, and I've made it my mission to help you own it. So if you want to see the stocks that I'm watching throughout the entire week, you're going to want to tune into Stock Watch Sunday every Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and subscribe to this channel. And more importantly, give me a thumbs up for giving you all of this free content and what to watch for this week in the stock market. Now, there's some crazy stuff going on. Obviously, the coronavirus is impacting a lot. Futures are down quite a bit. The Dow's down around 200 points. Everything's down right now. So I would expect there to be a lot of selling off on Monday, which would be tomorrow. But I think this would be a good opportunity to perhaps buy on a lot of these dips, especially because we have some seriously important earnings coming up this week with the likes of AMD, Apple, Tesla, Boeing, you name it. There are so many other ones. And we're going to talk about a few of them tonight. We're not going to go into all of them just because there's so many, but I think that these are going to be good opportunities for people to buy low before earnings if that's something that you want to do. Obviously, I always tell you guys, earnings is really kind of like playing roulette sometimes. But if you have a really good expectation of positive outlooks, might be a good time to buy the dip on some of the stocks that maybe you were already planning on making earnings plays on. So that being said, let me see what we got here. Yeah, no football. What's up, David? Good to see you, man. Richard. While I'm letting everybody roll in too, I was really struggling with whether or not I should even do a Stock Watch Sunday tonight just because of everything that's going on in the world. You guys know me. If you've been following me for some time, you know that I'm a huge sports fan. And the sudden passing of Kobe Bryant with the helicopter crash and then his daughter also losing her life, along with what's been found out now with six or seven other people on that helicopter, is just completely tragic. And I didn't want to go on with this stream without saying something. Some people might not be into sports, and that's okay, but for me personally, Kobe Bryant is, I don't know, he means a lot to me in a lot of ways. But what I will say is that if you don't know this about me, my father passed away when I was 14 years old. And he was a huge basketball fan. He was a basketball player. My dad was 6'6", huge guy. Played basketball all his life and was a huge Lakers fan. So before my dad passed away, though, I grew up kind of in between Michael Jordan and Kobe. Kobe was coming up, and I was, a kid. But I was like, that impressionable age, right? So as Michael Jordan was going out, I was watching Kobe come in, and I would watch, the Lakers games with my dad, and he was always like, this kid's going to be something special. And sure enough, he did some amazing things. I mean, Kobe Bryant is arguably the greatest of all time. Certainly the greatest of my generation, growing up watching him play. But more importantly, what we saw after, he retired and kind of lived the retired life and kind of still made impacts on people's lives outside of basketball. And I think that's what really should be taken away there. The kind of dad he was, obviously you could see that, with him and his daughter. And so it's just really tragic. And I just wanted to speak on that before we get started. So it was just tough on me. And sometimes, this is just a good outlet. So if there's anybody else that would like to comment, please leave some comments down below. It really hit me, really hit me hard today. So anyways, it's really tough. Yeah, Joe, it is crazy, man. But anyways, what's going on tonight? So we still have coronavirus issues. It sounds like it's spreading, and so it's impacting the stock market. So futures are down. And so what are we looking to do? Well, again, like I said, we have earnings plays that we're going to be looking at. And what I would say about the overall market is that I wouldn't panic. I think there's some opportunities here that I'm looking for on, the medical side of things. So we're going to look at APT, which already surged up on Thursday, Friday, and I think it probably ends up continuing, especially the more we find out that this virus is spreading. And I'll get into why I think APT is going to be another good play this week. And then obviously the earnings as well. We'll get into some OTC penny stock stuff too. So if you're visiting for the first time, I do a little bit of both, of looking at larger cap stocks and then also penny stocks as well. This channel was originated and started in penny stocks. And so I'm dedicated to not ever forgetting where I came from. And I still trade penny stocks. And so I want to make sure that we cover a little bit of everything. So there's a flavor for everybody that's tuning in. So if I'm not getting to your particular stock at the moment, trust me, I'll get there, and we'll go from there. So a little bit of housekeeping rules. If you'd like me to take a look at something for you, please feel free to do so in the chat. But just understand that there's so many that people throw out there that I may not get to yours, and that's okay. Please, if I don't, please make sure that you leave a comment after this video goes up, and I promise that I will get to your stock within 24 hours. So leave a comment down below. I'll get to it. I promise I'll address it and give you my thoughts on it if I don't get to it in this live stream. Okay? So let's get to it. So let me share my screen with you guys as per the usual. And the first one we're going to talk about is Tesla. So Tesla, you guys have heard me talk about this for quite some time, but Tesla is probably arguably the most anticipated earnings call this week. They have earnings that will be reported after hours, and there's a lot of speculation what's going on. I pulled up this daily chart, which is over at WeTradeHQ.com. You can do all your due diligence here for free. You can also take advantage of the various mentors that we have. If you want to learn how to day trade, you want to learn how to invest, come over to WeTradeHQ.com and get your learn on. I have my own mentorship. I go live with folks in the morning, just before the market opens, and I create a plan, execute that plan after the market opens. I'm with you guys throughout the entire day via a private chat group. So if you guys want to check that out, links are down in the description below. I encourage you to check that out. We have a great community there as well. But here I am pulling up Tesla chart on WeTradeHQ, and a couple of things that I want to address. So the Tesla to report fourth quarter earnings after hours on Wednesday. As I said before, conference call is going to be at 6:30. The investors probably will zero in on Tesla's 2020 sales outlook. They're expected to earn about $1.65 profit per share. I would say my best guess about this is probably going to be, I would say $2.25. I think $2.25 is probably what they end up beating. But here's the thing about Tesla, guys, okay? They're going to have to knock this out of the park. And if you want more in-depth information on my outlook on Tesla, make sure that you tune in to tomorrow's video. Hit that notification bell. You'll get notified on my in-depth analysis on Tesla and where I think it's going to be headed after earnings. But I just want to touch on this a little bit. Tesla's already gone up so much that they're going to have to really knock this out of the park. It's not just that they're going to have to beat earnings, because I think right now the price is already baked into that. Price is already pre-baked into Tesla. And so I think that they're going to have to wow everybody with something else. So I think that potentially a lot of these analysts keep focusing on the EV part of their business and not enough on everything else they do. So if you look here, I think I still have it pulled up. I do. I still have it pulled up here. So if you look here on their quarter three update on things not related to electric vehicles, it's their energy. So their mega packs, their battery packs, they were up by 50% in quarter three. So I think this is going to be the real shocker for a lot of people. 40% more than their prior quarter, not 48% more than last year. 48% more than the prior quarter. So if they increase this even more in the fourth quarter and that comes out, I think that's really what's going to propel. I think it's going to be the shock and awe factor for Tesla. Now, obviously, they also have the Model Y that we're supposed to hear on. When are they going to be carrying that out and making deliveries on that? a lot of people were asking me about the China sales. So the China sales are actually not going to be on this quarter because they didn't actually start delivering vehicles to Chinese buyers until after the first of the year. So those numbers won't be on here. But I think that they'll probably end up giving an outlook for 2020. So I think that the overall outlook for 2020 is really what's going to be telling here for Tesla. And so right now, though, if they blow us out of the water there, it's going to go up over $600. No question. Right now, again, like I said, looking at this daily chart, and if I can pull this line of resistance here, you see back a couple of years ago, and really several times over the last couple of years, it kept testing 390, and then finally broke up over that once they announced they became profitable. And then the Shanghai factory went live, and then it just kept going bonkers, right? So if they underperform or if their earnings are lackluster, I hate to say this, but look for this to potentially come back down into the $400 range. I don't expect that to happen. What my expectation is that they will blow us out of the water with their earnings report, and their conference call is going to be very telling. So be on the lookout for Tesla when that conference call comes out at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. I think that's really what's going to be telling. But I think that overall, leading up to earnings on Wednesday, Tesla's probably going to be a little bit unpredictable. And so, I would expect us to either level out, maybe sell off a little bit. Short interest has been crazy on this thing. So just be cognizant of like the risk that you're taking if you decide to hold Tesla over earnings. As with anything, you just really don't know where it's going to go. But in my opinion, I do think that it may be worth, holding, if you can afford the risk, maybe holding some over earnings. If you can afford the risk, I think that I might end up holding some over earnings just to see what happens. But again, it's going to be money that I can afford to just lose all of if that even happens. I don't think that will, but again, it's not going to be some astronomical amount of money that I'm going to be holding over earnings. But I'm really curious to see how this plays out, and I think that it's going to be worth it that I end up holding at least a little bit to see where this ends up going. So if it doesn't, look for it to potentially come back down to around $492, possibly even $400, even if somehow it's something crazy like they miss earnings altogether. They weren't profitable in quarter four, which I don't expect to happen. But if something like that happens, look for it to come down to $400 if they do end up not being profitable for the fourth quarter. All right, let me check in with you guys, see how you all are doing. Oh my gosh, you guys are amazing. Alan, Bob, thank you so much for the donations and supporting this channel. I really appreciate it. You guys are always bringing it. Thanks so much. Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks, Justin. Justin said, I'm looking fly tonight. I appreciate it, man. Good to see you. Hit me up, man. Garage Day Trader, Justin, hit me up. We need to link up soon. Sorry I'm late. I was working. Glad to be here. Yeah. What's going on, Music Bill? Jesse, good evening. What's going on, man? I haven't seen you in a while. Tesla going to 800. Maybe it does. And I think if they beat earnings, they probably will going to 800. We'll see. But like I said, they have to blow it away. They have to blow earnings away. So, okay, moving on to GE. GE also has earnings this week, and I have numbers pulled up here. They have earnings this week on Wednesday pre-market, so GE is going to be one that's going to be on my radar. I've told you guys over the summer that I thought that GE was this whole drama that went on with GE over the summer where, the huge short seller came out and said they were cooking books and all this other BS. I said that it was undervalued. And if you were in the mentorship, I was kind of screaming this from the rooftops that, this $7 range was ridiculous. It needed to be back up in the teens. Sure enough, it's finally gotten there slowly but surely. There's been price targets on this one for $14 by Morgan Stanley after earnings come out. We'll see 18 cents expected EPS. So perhaps that ends up happening. But what I'm looking for in particular on GE is a break over 1250. If we see a break over 1250, I think this ends up moving higher, and then it probably doesn't meet a resistance again until $14, which is probably why Morgan Stanley ended up giving it a $14 price target, because the resistance really isn't until about $14.50. I guess it probably is about $14.50 if you see where I have it marked here. So if it breaks up over, 12, let's see here, 12.36, I would say, and then should continue until it gets to about that $14 range, especially if earnings are good pre-market on Wednesday. So be on the lookout for GE pre-market Wednesday. Not really much else to report on this one. I will say that there's been a lot of issues with GE as it relates to the 737 MAX Air on Boeing, and we'll get to Boeing in just a second. But, this is one that I don't think it's going to be affected quite as much as Boeing actually will be. And so I would venture to say that I would go long on General Electric. I think they'll probably end up beat earnings. It won't be by a lot. I would say probably end up beating it by, 2 or 3 cents, but it'll be enough to propel it up over 12.30, 12.36. All right, let me check back in with y'all. I think it would be interesting to hear your thoughts on how to size correctly, what's a good return. Yeah, we can talk about that in just a sec. Once I get through everything. Yeah, guys, I know the Kobe news is it's really tough. It's not even just the Kobe news, right? I mean, there's just so much bad stuff going on this weekend. It's been really tough. But anyways, trying to stay on track here. Let's go on to Apple. Apple has earnings after hours on Tuesday. Right now, they closed 318. I would expect Apple to probably take a little bit of a dive on Monday, given the political or the geopolitical climate, not the geopolitical climate, what's going on with coronavirus and how that's spreading and how that's impacting the economy, the world economy as a whole. I think that Apple, though, with it coming down, I think with the reaction of what's going on globally, I think it presents itself with a really good opportunity to perhaps get in at a low price, because I do think that Apple's going to beat earnings. Apple's earnings are projected to be about $4.54 a share in profit, and so I think that they actually end up beating them. General consensus is price target's probably around $3.75. I would agree with that. You have the holidays that Apple, obviously was working with in the fourth quarter. You have the wearables that were going off the chain. Also, what I think is going to be the kicker here for Apple is the outlook on their Apple TV Plus. We talked about how Netflix has been, the competition has been getting stiffer and stiffer with Amazon and Disney Plus, and now Apple TV also came out in the fourth quarter. So I'm interested to see how that ended up playing out. Right now, I think that this is going to be a bargain for Apple, and they probably end up beating earnings. So anything that looks like a good dip buy, I would say there's a really good support level right here at 317.45. If it actually ends up dipping below that because of everything that's going on in the market overall, look for another. I'm sorry. Let me pull up let's do the 30-minute. Yeah, I would still go with that. I would still go 317.45, and then again, support looks like it could be around 315 if it dips below that. If it goes below 315, I don't know, man. It would be tough to say where else would end up landing if it dips below 315. I think you would have to wait and see where it actually continues to tank and then levels off. We're going to see some area of consolidation. So those are the areas of support that I'm looking for to potentially buy. But if it ends up going down lower, that's going to get a little hairy, I think, a little bit unpredictable and really hard to make a decent entry until you see some sort of consolidation. So nevertheless, I think Apple beats earnings, and anything that you can buy on the cheap will probably end up paying off. But again, this is earnings season. You never know how the stock's going to react based off of whatever the outlook is, earnings, whatever. So understand that if you do buy something and hold over earnings, that you're taking a risk that is riskier than any other trade you're probably going to take. You're basically playing roulette. You're going to put it on black or red and hope for the best. But it's a calculated guess. It's a calculated bet that I'm taking, and I think that going long on Apple will end up paying off. Next is going to be Boeing. Let me check back in with you guys, see how everybody's doing. J.R. Gutierrez. Big money leaving SPCE. Yeah. SPCE has been a major mover for sure over the last, I would say, a couple months, really. Market will be down 2%. Maybe it is. We'll see. I think market's definitely going to be down. How much is, I think, it's anybody's guess. But moving on to Boeing. So Boeing is, they have earnings that'll come out pre-market. And they're, I think it's going to be a good call to probably short Boeing. Profit expected 73 cents a share. I would have ventured to say that maybe they even operated at a loss in the fourth quarter. They've had so many bad things going on in the fourth quarter, and then it's carried over into 2020. Boeing said, obviously, if you guys haven't heard, the reason that it tanked over the last week was because regulators said that they probably won't approve 737 MAX air return until mid-2020. If you ask me, I almost would venture to say that Boeing should probably just scrap the whole 737 altogether. I mean, it's just been a PR nightmare up to this point, and I don't know what the hell they're doing with it. They've had everything from software issues to mechanical issues. Like, there's just so many problems with it. So if you're putting people's lives at risk here, like, just start over. Let's go back to the drawing board and see what the hell we messed up on, because it just seems like this problem after problem with these 737s, and, nobody's going to want to fly them. So I don't know. We'll see where this goes, but doesn't look like there will be a 737 MAX air off the ground until at least mid-2020, which is, wasn't what people were expecting. So you can see, let's see here. You can see that obviously it tanked quite considerably. I was short on this a couple of times, and it actually ended up burning me off of the bounce here. So I played this horribly over this past week. I mean, it happens. Traders make mistakes all the time. Doesn't matter how long you've been trading. Just go watch CNBC, or go look at your favorite trader on social media. I mean, we all make mistakes, but I think that Boeing still ends up coming down. It probably ends up missing earnings, especially with the coronavirus. If they stop flying, if they have to ground certain planes, it might not have. That's not going to impact earnings per se, but with everything compounding on top of Boeing right now, on top of the fact that they'll probably end up missing earnings, it's probably not going to be good for them. So I would probably end up looking to short Boeing from this level and looking for it to potentially come down to 293. If it ends up breaking 293, it should probably go lower. I don't venture to say that it would go below 293. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't think it's going to go down that far. If it does, it'll be a hell of a short, but I would be going short bias on Boeing right now, given everything that they have going on with them. In this earnings play. All right, let me check in. I do talk about penny stocks, DJ. I don't know if you caught at the beginning here, but I go over a little bit of everything. So I'm getting to penny stocks in just a sec, and actually it's going to be my next one here. So my first penny stock that I'm going to be going over is going to be APT. So APT right now, if you look at it on the 30-minute chart, has obviously been going off the charts, and it's just been going nuts. Went from 350 all the way up to 691 highs. If this breaks up over $7, we should see another continuation of APT. And so right now, the reason why APT is moving, so if you guys, again, if you're on WeTrade HQ, you want to find out something about a company, everything that you need to know is right here on this platform. So a brief description of APT is that they're engaged in the business of protecting people, products, and the environment, develops, manufactures, and markets disposables and limited to use protective apparel products for the industries. And so what this means is surgical masks. Now, they actually came out with an announcement last week when all this coronavirus stuff started coming out. They ran out of surgical masks. So people are buying up their stuff and they're running out. And so that's boding well for APT, obviously. And you probably could look up your favorite medical company that provides this type of material, but APT is the one that I chose just because of the movement that it's been having. And if you look at the chart here, I think that maybe you can see that it's already bounced off of 550. So we'll see where this looks at pre-market and what it's going to be looking at like for the rest of this week. But I think this continues. And if it makes a nice strong move up over $7, this should make a really nice continuation, probably to 10. We'll see where this ends up going. but gosh, it hasn't been this high in quite some time, and it took something like the coronavirus to really get it going. So I'll be on the lookout for APT. I think we see a nice continuation here. You could really look at any of the other ones, really too, and as far as like Johnson & Johnson, anything that provides medical equipment for, like surgical masks, suits, all that sort of thing. You're probably going to see a lot of movement out of those particular stocks this week because of what's going on with the coronavirus. You're seeing people who are infected popping up all over the place now. So there's going to be that effect going on. APT is the one that I chose. If you want to trade this one, look for those areas of supports and resistance. Like I said, move up over $7. I think this ends up continuing to move in the upward direction here. Let me check in with you guys again. INO is another good one. Alan, yes, thank you very much for that. INO was one. This is another one that's related to coronavirus. Whoops, sorry about that. Let's pull it up on Thinkorswim. INO is another one that has been moving in regards to coronavirus. They were given a grant to develop I think it was a vaccine for coronavirus. So this is why this one's getting a move on. Be on the lookout for stuff like this though, because they have lots of debt. They do a lot of dilution. So just be on the lookout for that as far as INO is concerned. But you can see that this is making a really strong move over the last several days because of what's been going on. Look for a move up over $4.70. If you look at this right here, $4.70 was the previous day's high. So Friday's high was $4.70. If it moves up over that, should make a nice continuation. But I probably wouldn't go bullish on INO until it actually broke up over that. So we're going to have to wait and see where that ends up going. You could see that that's where it opened on Friday, and then it ended actually in the red. So we'll see what happens here. After hours, it looked pretty decent, but again, that was on extremely low volume. So we'll see what pre-market brings. If pre-market brings it up over 470, I would imagine that it's probably going to end up continuing here, especially since things have been heightening over the weekend. All right. So next is going to be INND. So if you guys, for all my OTC penny stock traders, INND is definitely going to be one to watch for, because they finally shut off the faucet. And what I mean by that is they stopped diluting on this stock over the last couple of days, and this has caused this to take off. And we've seen moves from INND before. This thing has been stuffed way down because of dilution. But having said all that, and let's look at this on a 4-hour chart. Having said all that, let me zoom in here. You can see that this has just been continually pushed down by dilution. And you can look at, what's been going on level 2. If you've been monitoring that, a lot of the dilutive market makers that have been on this have just been dumping into the stock and have beat it all the way down from 10 cents to sub penny. So this closed at 002. Went from 10 cents to 002. Really a low of 0006. Unbelievable. This, and given the share structure here, if they keep the dilution off of this thing, it should have a really nice move. Look at this share structure. At this price point, 90 million in the float. Obviously, there's been more added to that. But even if you take the outstanding shares here, 342 million at 0027, that is an incredible share structure here. It's not going to take a whole lot of buying to get this thing moving. So I think that as long as dilution stays away, that INND should make a nice move here. So look for it to move up over 0034. That seems to be the next area of resistance. And then beyond that, I mean, it really could get a nice move on, again, as long as dilution stays off. They have a lot of other good stuff going on here. If you're not familiar with INND, their products, they have their products all over the place in Walmart. They're a hearing company. Let me back that up. They have hearing aid products such as hearing aids and lots of that kind of stuff. They're in big box stores. They're all over Amazon. They have a really good business model, but the problem is that they've been like under a stranglehold by dilution, and the amount of shares that have been dumping in the stock is what's been preventing it from going back up. So if they can keep the dilution at bay, it's always a great catalyst when that takes place. And with everything else they have going on business-wise, this could be a nice move for INND. So be on the lookout for that one. Next one's going to be ABCE. Now, this is one that I talked about previously on Stockwatch Sunday and has made really great moves here. So if we're looking at this again on Thinkorswim, pulling it up here, looking at the chart, you can see here that this could have a really nice move up above 0034. The catalyst here is going to be an AK that came out after hours on Friday. Let me just read this briefly. As of January 2020, the company issued Oasis Capital $184,000 promissory note. So again, this is going to be related to the dilution and it being taken care of. So they were basically given a break on all of their notes. The company is required to use the proceeds to receive, the company is required to use the proceeds received from the note to retire currently outstanding convertible debt from two lenders, which have not yet been matured for conversion. The note becomes convertible into common stock 6 months after the effective date of a 35% discount to the market. So what that means is, I know that was pretty wordy, but what that means is that they're taking care of some debt. They're knocking off dilution. So this is another one, kind of like what I was talking about with INND, where if you can take care of that dilution and turn that faucet off, this could make for a really nice move. Now, this is even smaller still. 150 million in the OS. I venture to say this probably isn't the float anymore, but even if you take the entire outstanding shares, this is still a really good share structure at this price point at 0024. Wouldn't take a whole lot of buying to get this thing moving. And you can see that there wasn't hardly any really good, there wasn't any loading going on this one thing. So there's no preload here. So I wouldn't expect a serious pump and dump going on. I think that this could be a legitimate catalyst that ends up sending ABC up over at least 005. We should see a nice move up over there. So those are the stocks that I'm watching. Now, I know there's a lot there, but like I said, there was so much going on. It was hard not to bring up all that stuff. So hopefully you guys got something out of that, and we can get to some of the questions that you might have. So let's see here. Let me back up. Amazon, all I see is surgical mask ads. Yeah, that's all you're going to see for the time being, I think, until all this ends up settling down. Rodby, I did call out ABC a couple weeks ago, and it had a really nice pop in it, so I think it's going to be a good one again. 3M has actually been in decline. Yeah, but 3M has been in decline, and they have earnings this week too, so be on the lookout for 3M. Let's see here. Yeah. I'm just looking through here, so bear with me. What's your opinion on GRNF? GRNF has just been one of those ones that you're just going to have to wait around for. I mean, how many empty promises is GRNF going to give you before you've had enough? And I think that's where a lot of investors are right now with that one. Given the climate with where weed stocks are, marijuana stocks are right now, it hasn't been great. So don't look for GRNF to have any kind of crazy move unless they miraculously come out with, we got the funding and all that. So they've been, in a lot of hot water, and I think there's been a lot of people that have been fed up with it. So if you still see value in it, by all means, but if it were me, I wouldn't waste my time with it anymore. I like INND. Does Ameritrade allow no commissions on penny stocks? No, Ameritrade does not. I trade penny stocks with Charles Schwab because Charles Schwab does not charge commission on any penny stocks, period, OTC or otherwise. TD Ameritrade still charges their typical $6.95. Mine, I got my commissions knocked down, and you can get them knocked down. But TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, they still charge their regular commission rate for OTC penny stocks. Charles Schwab's the only big brokerage out there that doesn't charge you for trading OTC penny stocks. So just a little tip there. I saw that John was asking me a question. I think it would be interesting to hear your thoughts on how to size correctly. What's a good return, when to sell, those kinds of questions. So this is a little bit of a complicated question, but I'll answer the first part. So sizing correctly, for me personally, I think a good rule of thumb is if you take a position size, and what John's asking here is when you're working yourself into a position, let's just say it's a penny stock, that's the best way to work yourself into position is if you're trading a penny stock, you would take a portion of the actual amount that you want as far as a full size position. So let's just say I like INND that we were talking about, and I want to work myself into a position on INND. The reason you would do something like that is I take $1,000 and I take a piece at a time and accumulate that position until I get to my full $1,000, full position. And so for a good rule of thumb, I would say either do 20% at a time or 20 to 25% at a time. So the reason for that being is if, let's just say that, it's all about managing risk. So when you're trading penny stocks, everything's so volatile. So you could get in higher than you wanted to, but you would only be getting in at 20% of your entire position size. So it would only be like $200 at a time. And so if it ends up coming back down, it gives you an opportunity to average down on that price. Because of the extreme volatility that you experience in penny stocks, that's how you manage that risk. And let's just say that instead of taking your whole entire position size and buying all at once, you put in a partial amount, it doesn't go your way. You've only lost that amount that you took a partial on instead of just going all in and thinking that, you're going to hit it big on your very first entry. Because a lot of times it doesn't end up working that way, especially in penny stocks. So that's how you manage that risk. The other thing is liquidity. Sometimes it might not be easy for you to take your entire position size and buy it all at once. So there's a lot of factors as to why you would do that. But I think a good rule of thumb is anywhere between 20 to 25% of the entire position size you plan on having on that stock. So hopefully that was clear enough for you and made some sense. Let's see here. Going to buy puts on AMD is active and can buy. Yeah, AMD also has earnings. Like I said, there's so many earnings this week. I couldn't go over them all. I just highlighted the ones that I thought were worth talking about. Not that AMD isn't, but like there's just so many to talk about this week. It's insane. Be on the lookout though if you guys aren't a part of WeTrade HQ, again, go to WeTradeHQ.com. There's a newsletter that comes out every Monday morning, and all of the earnings plays will be in that newsletter. So if you're not a part of that, make sure that you are. Go to WeTradeHQ.com, create an account over there. It's free to do so. So all those earnings plays will be in there for the week. Let's see here. What do you think of NUPMF? NUPMF, they just drilled a section of sandstone in Bolivia. I don't know anything about NUPMF. Let's take a look. NUPMF, I'm guessing it's a OTC stock. Yep, it's on the QX. So let's take a look here. Okay. Just want to make sure that I didn't think I hit the key right. So, NUPMF, decent share structure. Let's take a look at the chart here. Now, what I would look for, if you haven't done so already, Sick Puppy, is if you did not look at their financials. I'm not going to take the time, just for the sake of time, I'm not going to look at their financials right now. But if they do have any kind of crazy amount of debt, that would be something that would be a cause for concern. It doesn't look like, based off of this chart, though, that they really have any dilution to worry about. So I like the chart here. Doesn't really... I don't see any kind of like definitive patterns, technical wise, but let's go back to see why you see value in this one. Huge silver deposit. Any thoughts? I mean, we could see a nice move in silver, especially with what's going on around the world. So maybe this you could see some value out of this one because you have gold on the rise, and I can give you a good example of this. So if we look at gold futures right now, /GC on Thinkorswim, if you are not familiar with that. You can see how much they've already been moving, 1580. So lots of times when you see gold move like this because of, some crisis that might be going on in the world, whether it's militarily or, in this case, it's coronavirus, you'll see strong moves in metals plays. And so, I think that with gold moving, lots of times silver will end up lagging. So if you see value in this and there's validity to what you're saying as far as the discovery of silver in this company, Sick Puppy, then there might be something there. So what was it again? NUPMF. We'll go back to the chart here. NUPM, oops, NUPMF. Look for a move up above 540. Look for a move up above 540. If it does that, should continue until it gets to this high around 560. And if it breaks that, it should be off to the races. It's kind of blue skies after that. So definitely keep an eye on it. Worth keeping on the watch list, especially if they're not diluting. But like I said, make sure you keep an eye on those financials. If they're in any kind of debt, make sure that you're looking at when those notes come due. Yeah, be sure to hit that thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. JNUG calls seem to gold is up 1% with money. Yeah, I think gold's going to continue to go up tomorrow. Yeah, and Charles Schwab has an amazing customer service. AMD, I don't think it's going to miss. I don't think it's going to miss earnings. I think AMD does well. DJ, to answer your question, shouldn't ever hold pennies overnight, right? Or generally speaking, I think it depends on what kind of trading you do. So for me personally, when I'm trading penny stocks, and I'm not talking about NASDAQ penny stocks, I'm talking about over-the-counter penny stocks, the OTCs, which is how this channel got started. I would say that for me personally, I made my biggest gains on accumulating positions in OTC stocks like an INND, like I was talking about. That's where I've seen my greatest gains. I'm talking $20,000, $30,000 on a $1,700 to $2,000 investment, $1,700 to $2,000 investment, and things like that happen, you know, in the OTC. I'm not saying that every stock works that way, but if you do your due diligence, you see the value there, and there's a huge catalyst that comes along, especially with something like INND. Can you imagine if you were accumulating a position on INND at 0006, a $2,000 position would have gotten you around $4 to $5 million shares. So now that it's moving at it's at 007, it's up 400, almost 400% from its lows at 0006, and this continues, especially with that share structure. If you were accumulating a position there and swing trading that, you would have made a killing on that kind of trade instead of being in and out of a penny stock like that. So it really kind of depends on what you're comfortable with and how you manage risk. And we were talking about that before, about accumulating a position to the point of you managing that risk. You know, not taking an entire position size all at once and just accumulating a chunk at a time, getting a starter position and working your way in that way. So that's my opinion. That's how I was able to basically quit my job with that strategy, trading in the stock market. So I think it's tried and true, and in my opinion, that's the only way that you get truly monster gains is by trading in the OTC penny land that way. That's really the only way to do it, in my opinion. You buy and you sell out the same way. You sell out in chunks. You're not going to sell your entire position size. You know, if your position size grows to be $20,000, you're not going to be able to sell all that at once. You're going to want to sell into that momentum. So selling on the ask price, that sort of thing. If you're not familiar with how to do that, I'd encourage you to come check us out over in the mentorship. I explained to you guys how, to trade OTC penny stocks just like that every day. So if you have questions about that, you want to explore the OTC world a little bit more, click the links down in the description below for the mentorship. Also, I have the course as well. So let's see here. Right. Hey, nice to have you, J Rammy 49. That's all right. Always winning. You can go back. You know, the nice thing about YouTube is you can go back and watch it. Yep, I think it'll be positive. Yeah, you guys are talking about Tesla. I already kind of mentioned that. So looks like comments are starting to dry up here. So I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, if I missed your stock by chance, I think I got to mostly everybody's, but if I missed yours, please leave a comment once this video goes live, or if you're watching this at a later date, leave comments as well. Like I said, I answer all of them. So good or bad, you want to bash me, that's cool. I'll just say, hey, thanks for watching. But, I respond to the comments no matter what. So that's going to do it for me, guys. Again, as always, I will see you all before the bell, and B Smith is out. Appreciate the love. Give me a thumbs up. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for the support, guys.